She's Assistant Deputy Director for Los Angeles County Department of Public Works, and she is a wonderful proselytizer for women to go into engineering and for girls to study STEM. Welcome to Women's Media Center Live, Rossana.
Thank you. It's good to be here, Robin. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's exciting to have you. You are only the second woman to achieve the position of Assistant Deputy Director in the history of the Los Angeles County Department of Public Works. To me, the second is a harder job even than the first. It's better because it means we're not just a token, we're there to stay. But it's harder because sometimes people, cut some slack rope for the first, but for the second, none. But you're responsible for some heavy duty stuff, for directing the technical design of all public infrastructure facilities, all of them, including highway, flood control, and bridge structures. And in Los Angeles, given the, how shall I put this delicately, the ground beneath your feet out there, that's an enormous job.
It is. We do provide public infrastructure services for over 10 million residents in Los Angeles County.
Wow.
We're the second largest public works agency in the nation. So yeah, we have a lot to deal with. I like to think that we're doing a great job despite some of the challenges that we have with regards especially to funding. But I think that we're chugging along. I do want to address one thing though. Sometimes we get caught up in the single-digit success stories. I am the second female assistant deputy director in the department. I'm very proud of that. A lot of work has gone into that, but our department is mainly an engineering organization. Mm. And as you know, females are still very much underrepresented in engineering.
Yeah.
But we have a very progressive director, Gail Farber, and she's made sure that we design a department that is very diverse. And so we've gone out nationwide in the last few years to recruit the top talent. Mm-hmm. So we do have a lot of a diverse workforce in the entry level, and we also have a lot of females in middle management. And so I'm hoping that it'll just be a matter of time before we can say we have parity at the top level positions.
Well, it's encouraging. At least we're in the pipeline.
That's right, we are.
And in so many places, we haven't even approached the queue for the pipeline. So this is very encouraging, especially in a time where I, like many American citizens, are really concerned about infrastructure in this country, bridges and roads and buildings and public works, because the right wing that controls our Congress seems to feel that, oh my God, we can't spend any money on that because it might take some away from rich folks. And it might also, surprise, give jobs to people who need them in building the roads and building the bridges. And at some point, the infrastructure is going to collapse. So
yes, unfortunately, it does take disasters to kind of bring awareness to some of the shortcomings that we have. I don't know if you know this, the American Society of Civil Engineers has been working diligently at trying to bring awareness to the gas tax. That is.
I didn't tell us about it.
Yeah, so the gas tax is a funding source used to, and it's mainly as the name pertains. It is a tax that's put on the gasoline for our vehicles, and it's a gas tax that has not been increased since the 70s. Huh. And so obviously the amount of revenue that comes in to fund some of our infrastructure, mainly roads and bridges, has stalled. Mm-hmm. It hasn't kept up with inflation, and now with the energy efficient vehicles that we have, obviously the revenue is even less than what it normally should be.
Right.
We've had a couple of disasters, and so we need to take action. And I think ASCE has been very, very proactive in trying to bring an awareness to see if our Congress people can actually provide a sustainable funding source for our transportation system.
That would be nice.
That's something that we're watching closely, and I think I'm hopeful that that we can take action before anything else happens.
And is it that we're up against the lobby for the oil companies who don't want a tax or a raised tax on gasoline?
It's all about politics.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. Why do I even ask? When will I ever learn? Well, let's talk also about the fact that you are an outspoken leader and advocate for women in STEM fields: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And you lead an annual Los Angeles County Women's Leadership Conference that draws more than 500 women from all across the country. And you had one in, I guess, last November?
That's correct. Yes. So I'm sure you know when Maria Shriver was First Lady of California, she had the premier women's conference, and it was very inspirational. Several of our females here in the department would attend, and when she left Sacramento, well, then the conference went with her.
Oh, dear.
And so there was a tremendous void, and we felt that we needed some sort of vehicle that would provide that inspiration that we were no longer getting. And so we decided to go out on a limb and design our own women's leadership conference.
Great.
And it started kind of like a grassroots effort, if you will. It was a small conference the very first year, 5 years ago, attracted 300 mainly county-wide attendees, and there were a lot of females. And here we are. It was never meant to be an annual event, and here we are 5 years after the fact. We are now at 600.
Wow.
We hosted at the Pasadena Convention Center. It's now open to the public. And like you said, we have several speakers that fly across the nation to bring us their inspirational leadership stories. So it's something I'm very, very proud of. I think it certainly shows that there's a need for these types of forums.
Yeah.
And I think this is here to stay.
Well, congratulations. That's a wonderful thing, and it's a beautiful example also of replacing what was sort of top-down inspired activism with grassroots trickle up. And where I come from, it's always better to have the latter. So you made your own conference, and it's off and running. What can we do, Rossana? You're not the first guest, nor will be the last, that we've had on talking about women in engineering, and the difficulty women have in getting into it and in staying in it. What can we do, or should we be doing more to encourage that? I noticed recently there's a series of commercials, television commercials, which have lots of little girls as well as a few little boys talking about solving problems and saying brightly into the camera, "That's what I want to do. I want to be an engineer." And it gladdened my heart. But that's not enough. What should we be doing that we're not yet doing?
Yeah, I think there's a few of these nationwide initiatives. There's one that comes to mind. It's the ExxonMobil one. It's called Be an Engineer. And what it does is it basically highlights what engineering is and what engineers do. I think there's a couple of things that I think
ExxonMobil owes us. They've sullied the waters and the air enough, so they owe us big time. Yeah, go on, go on.
So I think there's a couple of things that we can do. First of all, I think as an industry, I think engineers and engineering, we haven't really done a good job at communicating what engineers do. I mean, I still meet people who tell me that they think that engineers are the ones that drive the trains. And so clearly we're not communicating very well. And other people will just say, well, engineering is all about math and science, and that's very myopic definition.
Yeah.
So I like to tell people that engineering is all about changing the world. You know, I think one of the unintended consequences of that show, CSI, was that it glamorized that profession, and I think there's a lot of kids nowadays that want to go into crime investigations simply because of that show.
So we need something to do for engineering what that did for forensics.
Exactly.
You know, to this day, people still use the phrase, doesn't take a rocket scientist to say that or to figure that out. And I always correct them and say, actually, I don't think there really are rocket scientists. The rocket scientists you're referring to are rocket engineers.
That's right. There you go. Exactly. And I think that's one of the major hurdles that we need to do. In other words, we need to rebrand the profession. We need to get it straight. And I think that'll help not only the recruitment of women, but men as well. Because we do have a shortage of homegrown engineers, and I think ultimately that's going to result in an impact to the country.
Mm-hmm.
As it relates to women, what can we do to recruit more women? I think that females who have reached leadership positions or management positions need to get out and make ourselves more visible. You know, it's the whole thing. If you can see it, you can be it.
Exactly.
I think that I wish that more women would have the courage to say that we are feminists. If what we seek is to have the same opportunities as our male peers, that by definition makes us a feminist, and I'm not really sure why there's this hesitancy to admit that. So, and lastly, how can we recruit more women? I would say that we need to go out and talk to kids at all levels, whether it be elementary school, middle school, high school, and basically tell them what engineering is at their levels. Make it fun, make it exciting, so that it's not a novelty once they're in high school and they're hearing about it for the first time. And I do that a little bit through ASCE and Society of Women Engineers. I take advantage of the platform that they've already provided in order to make sure that we reach more kids at different age levels and hopefully get them excited in the STEM fields themselves.
Wow, if everybody were like you, we wouldn't have this problem. Rossana, you are absolutely terrific, and it's very comforting to me now every time that I go to LA to know to know that you're watching, and that the buildings won't fall down underneath me, and that the roads and bridges will function. And I thank you for everything that you do for women and all the work that you will do, and also for being with us on Women's Media Center Live.
Thank you so much, Robin. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun.